Good evening, people. Welcome to United View and welcome to your daily dose of Manchester United transfer news, team news, goings-ons, fixtures, updates, etc., etc. But the fixtures are running out. There's only 2 more games left until we can complete our season. One dead rubber, or is it? I want third. I want third. Coach Cam said it as well. I want third for the optics. Let's get third in the bag. Let's beat Fulham. I don't want to just... Yes, we've got to make changes and keep some players in Cotton Wall, etc. But there is still 3 points up for grabs, and we want them. It's our fortress. It's Old Trafford. But transfer news. We're going to be talking about Harry Kane potentially not being for sale. We've got some interesting quotes coming on that situation. Mason Mount, Lampard was talking about him yesterday, and we've got some stuff from the media. And Porto in a little bit of financial trouble as well, which would lead to Diogo Costa, who's been highly tipped to come to Manchester United, which a lot of you guys have been behind, especially people like Marcel and Cam and all of the other people who have kind of wanted a replacement for De Gea for some time have said it should be Diogo Costa. Diogo Costa. He's got the same name as Diogo Dalot. He's Diogo Costa. Diog Costa.
Paolo. Apparently they
Paolo.
Diog Costa.
Exactly. Diog Costa.
Bruno Fernandes.
It's brilliant. Diog Dalot. But let's get straight into Harry Kane.
Harry.
Harry. Let's get straight into Harry. What have we got? Because actually, this might be music to some of our viewers' ears, some of the community's ears.
It might be. Just but quickly, very, very quickly, Flex, before we get to Harry Kane, I just want to shout out Jurgen Klopp. Because Jurgen, I think he's got a problem. I think he's got a problem because today he's been overdosing on the copium. Very, very much. The copium is in full force because apparently it doesn't matter if you get the Rock says it doesn't matter if you get Champions League football or not. It doesn't matter. European football. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? That's what he said. I've got the quote in front of me. I'm that petty. He said, quote, "We have European nights next season. Instead of Tuesday and Wednesday, it's Thursday. Who cares? You care, Jurgen. You care, and you know you care. You can look like a tiger and all that kind of thing. You care, okay? Because what's all the fist bumping? What's all the apparently
at Leicester away.
Yeah, that's not caring. That's not caring at all. You know, the European book your hotels for next season's final, but they don't care. They don't care.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And actually, not only did I see the quotes, I actually watched the clip and commented and laughed. But he said, who cares? We can have fantastic atmospheres at home, against bloody Astana. And big up to Astana, by the way. Treated us very well when we went there. No disrespect. But, Real Madrid under the lights, kings of Europe, versus now you've got to play against bloody Midtjylland. Like, come on.
They don't care. Because it's European football. Can you imagine? And this is the hypocrisy of football, yeah? If we bottled top 4 and Erik ten Hag came out and said, it's European football, it doesn't matter what nights it's on, he would get slated. But they've got their 7-0. So good for them. Good for them. Yeah, that's what they'd rather have. I've seen Liverpool fans saying that today. I'd rather have 7-0 than Champions League football. You're a liar. You're a liar.
You are a liar.
You're a liar. Fake. We made it up. That's false.
100%.
Lie detector test. Boom and going off. Anyway,
Failed.
Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Harry Kane. Get off my chest.
Kane.
Harry. Now, Samuel Luckhurst from the Manchester Evening News is reporting today that Manchester United are operating under the assumption that Spurs will not sell Harry Kane in the summer. Now, United have not ended their interest, but are actively pursuing other options. Man United, as I mentioned, are actively pursuing other options, as Daniel Levy has indicated that Kane will not be sold. A source who has worked with Levy half-jokingly, and it was quite crazy, is half in this, but half-jokingly said United would have to kill him to sign Harry Kane this summer. So essentially, I know. And it's only a half joke, which is kind of harsh. Yeah. But the point is that United are working under this assumption here that they don't think Kane is going to be sold. Now, we had a really good conversation the other day, didn't we, about when do you end? When do you put a deadline on the pursuit of Harry Kane?
Might be now.
I was going to say, frankly, the argument could be made that if you know he's not for sale, then do you even bother trying?
Yeah. Before the window starts, they have to bother trying. You do have to bother trying, in my opinion. like you said, a lot of other people who are in favour of Kane have said, we are in no position to be turning our nose up to the Premier League's going to be the greatest ever goal scorer in the Premier League, England's all-time goal scorer. Has he gone past Rooney yet? Yeah, hasn't he?
Yeah. I think he's broke that.
So we're in no position to not try. We are in a position, or we will be in a position, to not pursue once it gets stupid and the cut-off point, etc., etc. But we know what Daniel Levy's like, and that's been the biggest fear. That's why, me and Owen have both kind of said we think he's going to stay. And even with the news that we got the other day, remember I said, I'm not going to, now I've heard a little bit of positive news about Kane being available, I'm not going to be like, oh, I changed my mind now, I think he's going to come, because essentially we are dealing with Daniel Levy. And for Kane to leave, first, obviously it's got to take for him to want to leave first, because Spurs are never going to just say, do you want to go? We'll sell you if you want. We'll cash in. They're not going to do that. So it would take for Kane to be really forceful, proper forceful, and say, listen, Daniel, I'm not coming back. Like, I won't, don't tell me when pre-season, report for pre-season with whoever their manager's going to be, because they can't get one. Don't tell me when it is. I'm not coming. Like, I'm going on strike, which he basically did the other year, that a couple of years ago. But because he's Harry Kane, he got away with it because he's a dog. But essentially, they covered it up quite well, in my opinion. He was days he was supposed to miss and all of that rubbish. It was very coincidental to me. He was trying to force it, and it just didn't happen. But he'd have to go down that plus more to get out, because and then he would have to lean on a relationship which you would argue he deserves to have with what he's done for Spurs, to say, look what I've done, Daniel. I stayed the first time when you blocked my move to Man City. I've given you 2 extra years of more record goals. I've now become the all-time top scorer. Let me go. But this is Daniel Levy. No, Harry, I'm sorry. Like, you hold all the cards next year, but you don't hold them now. And I'll let your contract run down. It's not a problem to me. I'm not under massive pressure above me to say, what are you doing, Daniel? We need to get the money for Harry if he doesn't. No, because the way the Spurs see it is they've got a better chance of trying to get back in the top 4 with Harry Kane than without. And it's going to take something astronomical to sell him. So I'm not surprised to hear that. But to answer your question, we absolutely have to try. We need to be trying from now, way before the window even opens. When does it open?
June the 14th, I believe it is.
Right, we made the 26th. So we got, good over a couple of weeks. Good 3 weeks, let's say, about that, innit? About 3 weeks. Yeah. You should be saying, you should be ringing, doing all sorts of business now. Especially now we've just ticked the box last night. We're in Champions League. We're in Champions League, so it's over. Like, any worries that we might have had are gone in terms of how appealing it will be to Harry Kane. We're back to the only worry, which is the main worry, which is trying to do a deal with Daniel Levy. But if I'm Man United, I'm picking up the phone. I'm ringing his agent / his brother or whoever looks after him, I think, to say we're gonna come in with a bid. What's the feeling with Harry? Is it worth us making this bid and going to approach Daniel Levy first? What's Harry saying? Get something from him. Start the process. You've got to start the process now. I know there's going to be a lot of people in the comments saying, good, he's not for sale, don't want him anyway, too old. I'm not going to go into that, of the reasons why I think Harry Kane is the one. Because we've been there and done that. We know we've got a difference of opinion. But because I am of the ilk of I want Harry Kane, for me, I'm saying pick up the phone from now, 3 weeks before the window even opens, and get cracking. Actually, 3 weeks should be enough to find out, can you do it? Is there enough scope to go with something, or it's not going to happen? And we need to not be 3-4 weeks. Don't do it if it's not.
Yeah, and we need to not be typical Manchester United, which is just because we're seeing if it's even possible to do. That doesn't mean we can't keep talking to other people who are our alternatives, whether it is Vlahovic, whether it is Gonzalo Ramos, whether it is Højlund, whether it's whoever it may be. It doesn't mean we can't talk to them. And to be honest, this was kind of why, as you mentioned earlier on, I was always, me, I've said I think it's crazy how some people can be like, we don't need Harry Kane, or we shouldn't be getting Harry Kane, because, like I said, for me, he's one of the best strikers in the world today. He is in that category of strikers who are world class. People can dispute that. They can say British bias, but it will never change my mind. Harry Kane is world class, factual. However, if you pushed me and said, will he be a United player come the end of the summer? I was always a little bit like, something's got to happen. there has to be some catalyst on the Spurs end of things, because I can see it from Daniel Levy's eyes in that he's thinking, like, look, Spurs, they're on the brink of not collapse in terms of like financially, but they're on the brink of collapse in the sense of they've got nothing left. Yeah, exactly. But a couple of years ago, they were in the Champions League final, and granted, they didn't win the Champions League and they didn't win the Premier League, but they were, for a few years there, they were a top 4 side every single season. For was it 3 years in a row? Under Poch, they were getting top 4, and they were even, in the conversation of maybe this year they might go for the Premier League title, all this kind of stuff. Now you've got a situation whereby they don't have a manager. No one wants to be their manager in terms of a top manager, whether it's Nagelsmann, whether it's the guy from Feyenoord. No one wants that job because they know how bad it is. When Conte and Mourinho have failed, you go, like, I ain't going there. It's not going to be successful for me. And Daniel Levy's seeing that. He's seeing his side going, we might not even be in Europe at all next season. Forget Conference League. We might finish 8th. And then you've got your talismanic figure, Harry Kane, who basically has scored half your goals, nearly 50% of their goals this season. It's almost like to them, no price is going to be high enough, is going to be enough. It's almost, I equated to sort of the Grealish situation when he left Aston Villa. And that Jack Grealish was not a £100 million player, but to Aston Villa, he was almost worth more because he kept him in the Premier League. And actually, from a monetary point of view, it's worth more than 100 million that. So the Spurs, Daniel Levy might be thinking, you could, I know he's got a year left in his contract, but he's worth more to us than 100 million. And now I've got to sort of think to myself, do I risk it? Do I take a gamble? And maybe this sort of not the best manager or coach comes in and it galvanizes this team, and Harry Kane has another good season, and you never know, he can get top 4 again, and maybe that makes him stay. Or maybe we're just in Europe the following season and it makes us save some money, then Harry Kane going on a free, he's done one last thing for us. I don't know. So I think from a United point of view, even with a year left in his contract, it's a challenging deal for us to do. It was always going to be challenging.
Any player in their last year, which we'll talk about Mason Mount, who is in his last year a little bit, but you would think it should be quite easy to do. The other team, you're offering them a huge amount of money for a player who's going to go for free in 12 months. So you're giving them a solution, an instant solution, allowing them to reinvest back into their squad to replace that player. You're doing it nice and early before the window's even started, so you're not leaving them short. But you're dealing with Daniel Levy, and you're dealing with arguably the best striker the Premier League's ever seen, numbers-wise anyway, numbers-wise.
And you're dealing with a player that, to his current employer, irrespective of how long he does or doesn't have left on his contract, to them, legitimately is priceless. They can't put a price on it. And any club really worth their salt, I mean, and I'd say he's priceless. Like, if United put a bid in for 150 million, they'd be like, shit, like, what are we going to do? That's, but no club's going to do that. They're just not. Even 100's kind of pushing it, let's be honest. But you go, well, it's Harry Kane, goals, all this kind of stuff. But to them,
it should be like,
I just don't see a price.
Year, how much should he be in the last year, considering how good he is and the guarantee you get of him? Is 100 still fair, considering because of what he's going to give you, or should it be like 80? I
don't think it's a million miles below 100. I've said that before, because if you look at Lewandowski, and he was a year left, he's 34. Would he go for 45, something like that? And he's 34. Harry Kane's 30 this summer. You say, well, in reality, year left in his contract, current market, it's about 80 million, and given English tax, 100's probably about. It's about the guy, and people will say that's crazy, but it is
1 year left. Imagine he had 3 years left on his deal, and that, like when City were trying to get.
Well, that's the point.
They were trying to get him for 100. Then
he's unattainable at that point. Like he's difficult to attain now. He's not unattainable at the moment. He's very, 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 very difficult. Then he's unattainable. 3 years left. Spurs like, of course not. There's no price.
It's impossible.
There's no price then. Now it's possible, but it's unlikely. So I think that, like you said, I think United will probably consider it's worth trying. We'll try. We'll maybe put an offer in, but I just don't see it. I really, really don't.
Yeah. They got to test the resolve, though. I know people can say, don't even bother if you know he's not for sale. Like, well, you were saying, if you know he's not for sale. I still think just put one bid down, though. Show your six, because also you don't know what that can do. That can trigger Harry Kane to go, they're serious. The money's on the table. And then you never know. He could sit down with his family and he could really want that move. And we could. I'm not that I'm saying there's been evidence to suggest he would do this, because the evidence suggests he hasn't. Or the evidence says he won't. But you never know. In this situation, he's never been down to the last 12 months of his contract.
No.
In this situation, And now it's after the move where he's seeing City, they've won it again. Imagine if he went, he'd be looking at a treble now. You know, he would have won the Premier League now. You know, they won the Premier League last year without him that was the season where the beginning of that year was when they didn't let him go. And then he's done this year and seen him win. So we've seen him win 2 titles of what he could have done. So he's going to England camp. All of these players talk, you know, seeing Jack Grealish go from Villa. Now he's got 2 Premier Leagues in his back pocket already.
Calvin Phillips, Flex. Calvin Phillips playing 4 games or something this season and winning a Premier League title. And he's probably looking at that going, that should
Phil
be
Foden's got 5. 5.
You know? And Harry Kane's not even maybe thinking about like league titles. He's thinking, I just want a trophy.
Anything. They won countless Carabao Cups. Just taking the piss, the second string. You know? So, you know, that's why I think we have to put in a bid. Even if Daniel Levy says, you're not getting him, I'm not selling. Here's 100 million. And we've spoke to Harry. Leave you with that. Then it could just self-combust. It's almost like throwing the thing in, throwing a grenade in and then shutting the door and then maybe trying to do that, you know?
Or maybe there's informal talks, like I said, with Kane's representatives, and they say, look, I'm telling you now, like, Daniel Levy doesn't want to sell him, blah, 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 but I'm telling you, like, if you put a bid in,
us leverage.
We'll do everything we can to make it happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No on the fence, we'll do everything we can. But again, does Harry Kane have too much respect for Spurs to be like, nah, like, I'm really forcing the issue this
Well, he won't. Season. He really won't want to, like, go on strike and, you know, but I don't think he's in a position where he can ruin his relationship with the fans or imagine if I think Spurs fans would sympathize with him if he put his foot down.
They'd be like, get out of there, mate. Go.
That's what I'm saying. Well, look at Spurs fans this year. They love Harry Kane, and near enough every Spurs fan, I haven't seen one Spurs fan who's gone, he can't leave us in this mess. You know, he's the captain, even though it's Lloris, but he's the captain. You know, he's got to get us out of this. He shouldn't just, when Chip said that, not one Spurs fan has said that.
They're like,
what they all say, don't blame him. He's done absolutely everything for this club. He's our all-time record goal scorer. He goes with our blessing as long as he doesn't go to Arsenal. Or like Chelsea. That's how he could ruin, that's how he could leave a sour taste. But if he does everything within his power, i.e. not turning up to training and going on strike, which people say you shouldn't do and stuff like that, and I get that, you should try and do things amicably, but what we don't know is, we're never privy to, is what happens behind the scenes, man. A lot of conversations happen and a lot of words get broken. And like you say, if it isn't written down, it didn't happen. You know, little gentlemen's agreements get broken. Well, you said that if an offer for this came in for me, you'd let me look at it, and you're not letting me look at it. That's not what we agreed. Things like that start happening, and they don't always get out in the press. It just comes across as Harry Kane didn't come to training. He's boycotting it. You know, but you don't know. So that's why, to finish off on Harry Kane, in my opinion, because I want him, you have to put the bid in no matter what Daniel Levy says. No matter what. If he says 100%, I will not sell to you, no problem. Well, it's early. Here's 100 mil. Sit on it. And meanwhile, you've rang Harry Kane and you said, listen, we've put 100 for you. Your wages are going to be... What's his wages going to be? 350?
A lot. You know,
320.
He'd be one of the highest paid players at the club. Certainly.
Rashford's about to sign probably a 300k deal, isn't he?
Yeah. And you'd probably, if you were wise, you would do a bit of a Sir Alex, and you'd say to him in these talks, you know, by the way, we're not just signing you, we're getting this guy, and this guy, you know. And maybe you'd give him a bit, maybe you'd give a bit of a nudge about the takeover stuff and say, look, we don't really know, but from what we're hearing, it's looking like it's going to be this person, and that's going to be done. And you do the project, don't you? You sell him. You sell him on the project, so, you know.
Yeah. So we have to do that, in my opinion. It doesn't matter what Daniel Levy says. Put the bid on the table and see what happens. Let us know what you guys think. I'm pretty sure I know what a lot of you guys think already. But let us know what you think about this latest development with him potentially not being for sale. Should we just give up and just make sure you avoid a Frankie de Jong situation that's drawn out? Do you do what I'm saying? Do you agree with what I'm saying, which is, and Owen saying, which is put the bid in anyway, see what happens? Or do we ride it out? Are you one of those? Are you a Marcel? Don't care how long it takes. Even if you kick off the new season without a strike, it has to be him. Do everything.
KG said the same. He said, "I'm ready for a saga," which is I think is hilarious.
And it would be, and it will be with him.
Which is hilarious because he's the same person that last year was complaining, "Why are we not signing people? It's taking too long." He is the kind of guy. He is that guy going, "I want a saga." Then 2 weeks into the saga, he goes, "This saga's annoying, man." Oh,
yeah,
100%. I hate sagas.
But he thinks off emotion. He doesn't think in the moment, does he? I mean, he thinks in the moment. He doesn't think outside it. Mason Mount.
Yes, Mason Mount.
What's the latest on Mason Mount?
There's quite a bit actually on Mason Mount. So just in the last couple of minutes at the time of actually filming this, Miguel Delaney from The Independent has said that Chelsea are insistent on receiving at least £55 million for Mason Mount this summer, with Manchester United yet to match the club's valuation for the England international, despite leading the race for his signature. The 24-year-old is willing to go to United amid interest from Liverpool and Arsenal, and agreement on a price is now the only obstacle to his move to Old Trafford. So again, it looks like certainly United are certainly leading that race. It was also reported from Simon Johnston as well from The Athletic, who covers Chelsea. The interest in Mason Mount from Manchester United and beyond is very serious. He is leaning towards a move to Manchester United, and the clubs are expected to talk in due course. So it's quite interesting actually, Flex, because we were speaking the other day, weren't we, about Mount and about this stuff saying, I don't see it, I'm not sure it's going to happen. And then pretty much once we finished being live, David Ornstein, we logged on to Ornhub once again, and he said, look, he's leaning. He's leaning. United are leading the race. And if he decides he wants to leave Chelsea, basically he's going to United. So, I mean, does this one... actually, let's take a step back here, Flex. Like,
it's picking up, isn't it?
Yeah, they're essentially saying, like, it's a really, really, really high chance Mason Mount's going to sign for United in the summer.
Yeah. I just sent you a link there in the chat. It's one of them where it's becoming increasingly likely, increasingly on the cards where I couldn't see it. I really couldn't. I think that line there is really strong from Miguel Delaney, where he says United don't want to go as high as 55 million because their own summer budget is open to change with the takeover. But it's felt a deal will eventually be done, despite the clubs currently being some way off an agreement. I think they'll just find a way.
But yeah, when he says that basically the only obstacle from this move happening is just an agreement on the price. So that's an implication that the deal between United and Mount and the agreement in those, but they're essentially saying that's done. Like the only obstacle right now is the price. Mason Mount's decided he wants to go to United, which is pretty significant, isn't it? How do you feel? Because again, a couple of days ago, Flex, you were very much like, I don't know about this one. Better options. How are you feeling?
Better options. For me, it was the price. At one stage, there was something stupid, like it was like 70, 80, wasn't it? That we did. That was quite. But that's gone now. It is 55.
55.
It's still a bit much for me. He's in his last year, but the English tax, and he's won the Champions League. And when Chelsea were good under a couple of managers ago, when they were in the good moments they had, he was very much part of that. You can't forget that. I'm not going to try and just change my whole tune because it looks like it's going to happen. So
now I really want Mason Mount.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick with what I said before, which is the circumstances of in which he comes and what happens if he does come. And what I mean by that is a midfield of Mount, Casemiro, and Bruno is not it for me. It isn't. I think the balance is off. I think it can play against teams who let us have the ball mainly, and like how Bruno can drop deep sometimes and do all right. But for where we really want to be, if Mason Mount comes in, I've always said I'll take him in the squad at the right price. I think he's versatile. I'll stand by that. He can play in a 10. He can play as an 8. He can play on the wings, left or right. He can. But if he comes, what worries me is that he would be our only midfielder. Like, he can't be. We need a thoroughbred 6. Like, we need a dictator of play, can play deeper. That's not Mason Mount. Mason Mount can get you goals. Mason Mount can operate in the final third. That in transition and in midfield, we still need to improve. He does tick the box of a technical footballer. He does tick the box of good tactical understanding. He does tick the box of, like he's saying there, about Ten Hag's system. It appeals to him and playing on the front foot and pressing. And he does tick a lot, although it might not be the name I wanted to hear. If I just take away the name Mason Mount and I look at the profile of player at his best level, he does tick a lot of Ten Hag boxes. And that's why I will go to the side of, if Ten Hag wants him. We have said that on a lot. I even said that about Rabiot. I was like, I don't really see it, but he can drive with the ball. And if Ten Hag wants him, there's got to be a plan. We have to trust in him. So I wouldn't be fuming if he came. It's the right price because I think he'll be a really useful player to have actually in our squad. He is multifunctional and can play a variety of positions.
What's interesting with Ten Hag when it comes to his recruitment is you can tell like he gets laser focused on players, doesn't he? And once he's locked onto them, that's it in his mind.
He wants them bad,
with this one, it's like they're saying that he saw him playing for Vitesse years ago, and for whatever reason in his mind, he went, one day I'm getting him. You know, Terrell Malacia, the clip, write his name down. From that day, he's like, oh yeah, I like him. I'm gonna get him eventually one day. Like, there is this thing
weird,
with him, isn't it?
It feels weird.
I don't know.
Just
there's this thing with him. I don't know. There's just this thing with Ten Hag, isn't it? That just he likes people he knows. Like again, he might not know Mason Mount really well, but he has seen him what he would feel up close enough during his time in Holland. And I did just like I said, his sort of transfer strategy sometimes is just a bit like laser focused. I like him. I'm getting him. He's the one. You know, and he's kind of been said about Harry Kane, hasn't it? Like Ten Hag's obsessed with him, and you almost get it with this Mason Mount thing that's come so quickly. And even Miguel Delaney is saying that Mason Mount saying that he believes that Ten Hag's system offers the best fit.
Yeah.
But it also then says the Dutchman is understood to have the clearest idea for him. So, like in Ten Hag's mind, he has a vision of this. This is your role. This is how you're going to work. This is how you're going to fit. You're going to fit here. And look, like I said, we're not even in June yet, Flex. We're at the end of May. And the thing is that the only thing stopping it is the fee. United don't want to go as high as 55 million. That's what Chelsea want. You would think with a year left and a player that seemingly has decided he wants to leave, a compromise would be met. And a Chelsea football club that needs to sell. They've spent so much money over the last 12 months and they can't afford to let Mason Mount go on a free or anything like that. The only thing might be, of course, is that there might be another Premier League club that is willing to pay 55 million because there are quite a few teams interested, whether it's Arsenal, whether it is Liverpool. And is this obsession with that Ten Hag has with him enough to kind of get that one over the line? I don't know. But you are right. It feels like it's come out of left field. But then a couple of transfers have for United over the last 12 months under Ten Hag, right? Casemiro came out of left field. We're getting Casemiro. When? It's done.
Yeah.
we're getting Terrell Malacia, are we? Yeah, he was going to go to Lyon, but now he's coming to us. And then it feels like this. We're getting Mason Mount. When? Oh, pretty soon. You know. So it does feel very significant. To your point, is either then when we were talking about our midfielders, we got to get a midfielder this summer. He was not the name anyone was thinking of. I don't think. I mean, I don't think he was the first name to come to mind at all. But as we keep saying, like Ten Hag's got a good track record so far in terms of his signings. So if that's who he wants, that's who he wants. I'm going to back it.
Yeah, it is a weird one. But I think if you look at it from a football standpoint, I think if he can come in for Bruno when Bruno's not playing well, that's number one. He can come in for Anthony if Anthony's not playing well, or start over Anthony. Let's be real, he can. Why not? He can play on the right. Done it loads of times for Chelsea. Can.
I just don't like him out on the wings. I don't like that kind of.
But he's done it. He's done it loads. But he did do that when they played wing backs. Don't get me wrong. There was wing backs, and he was like as part of a front three to play on the left or right sometimes. He could do it easy. He's versatile enough to play there. You know,
he improves our squad. There's no doubt about
and he improves our options. Not just by having extra numbers in there, but actually extra quality. He is comfortable with the ball at his feet. He is good. And in his best moments, when he was going through really good patches of form, I did say Mason Mount is good. I did. In that period when he was with Tuchel and they were playing really well, I was like, he's good. And actually the first bit with Lampard. Lampard's first season, he got him into top four, didn't he?
I think he got
that.
He got a ton of assists that first season. I remember Mason Mount.
He was
just
really
literally came back from Derby, didn't he? And he'd done well. And everyone went, he's Lampard's guy. And look, Chelsea managed to get top four with a transfer ban, which is very impressive. And like you said, I remember pandemic season with Thomas Tuchel, because Tuchel came in around was it around Christmas time, something like that?
Yeah.
And I remember under him, he was brilliant.
Mount was
brilliant. He was brilliant. He was. So he does have it in him.
So I'm not against it. I'm not against it if the price is right. If we can get it below 55, great. But I would take him. I would take him. I don't think. Look, I know some people are concerned though about the British thing. British buyers just going for English players. We want Kane. We want also Declan Rice. We want Mount. Oh no, this is I'm less concerned about that. Because before in the first season, it was we're just trying to get all the players from Ajax. Oh, look what Anthony and look what Martinez was like. You know, unbelievable player, arguably player of the season. And Anthony, not so much so, but he still had a decent first season. Some frustrating bits, but nowhere near as bad as the rivals try and make out, like flop of the season vibe. It's not that. And he's got more to come. And I was like, I don't want us to just be Ajax 2.0. So now he's going in a different direction of maybe getting 2 very good English players, maybe even 3, which would be insane. I still stand by it. I know it's a bit niche, but I don't know why I'm so fixated on this. It's because so many players have come from there. I want that mid-table French team gem. Why do we can never do it? Or South American, you know, Caicedo vibes, whatever.
The problem is,
you know,
the thing is with that is we
never do it.
We might. We've tried to do that with people like Palestri or Ahmad or whoever, yeah. But they never work out because we don't play them. We never know if they can be any good or anything.
But that's
like
what I mean. Like the actual plan where
we
we identify they're good enough, we're going to get him, and he's going to play.
Who's to say, like, you know, with Facundo Palestri, like I almost get the feeling like if Facundo Palestri was signed by Brighton like a couple of years ago, people would be going about he's actually brilliant at the moment because he'd be playing. He'd have played for like 2 or 3 years. He barely plays for United. So it's almost like United need to, like you said, almost adopt that strategy. If they're going to go in that direction, not only do they have to sign those players, they've got to play them as well.
They've got to sign someone they think is good enough for now. Like you can not obviously they don't have to be the finished article now. That's the whole point. But good enough to play in our first team.
Yeah.
Not can't even get on the bench and has to go on loan to Birmingham vibe. I mean, they're good enough to compete for a role in the first team. And obviously, we don't know what his plan is with Kobe Mainoo as well in the long term. But, you know, then I would love to see us do that. But Mason Mount...
Do lots of top sides in the Premier League do that? That whole, like, you know, mid-table French side and it comes and works out?
No, not really. I just want us to do it, though.
Oh.
Basically, the other teams can... Basically, the lower teams can always find these players, again, because... It's like they can afford to take risk with players.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Because the pressure's off. And then the big boys come in and we always have to spend 80 million. Why can't we... And it's not like we're not linked to these players. That's what pisses me off.
That's true.
We were linked to Camavinga and could have got him. We were... Especially Caicedo. Caicedo is the one we could have got.
Yeah.
If we were serious, we could have got Caicedo. We didn't. And he went to Brighton for 4 million. 4 or whatever it was. 6 or 7. Whatever it was. Not double figures.
But then I look at the Caicedo one and I say, and I totally agree. But I sort of also say to myself, if he'd have come to United at that time, would he be the player that he is today?
Well, if he did, maybe not. But what would happen is we would have ended up, if you keep the timeline as it is and say we still were shit last year, and now we've got a great manager in Ten Hag, he's got that to work with because we got it spot on 2 years ago or a year ago.
I just think it's almost like the Jude Bellingham principle. You know what I mean? When people go, oh, we tried everything to sign him and he turned us down because he knew and his advisors knew at the time, like, you know, just don't go to United if you're a young player. Go to a Dortmund. You got to, you know what I mean? You've got to do because you just don't play enough. You don't play enough. That's the problem.
But now we've got a new manager who wants to play in a different way. So can we change that? That's what I'm saying. Can we change that? Why not? Why not? All it takes is a change of strategy.
Absolutely. But I just,
possible.
I don't know. And even Ten Hag this season, I mean, playing super young players, you know, he can be reluctant at times too. He can be like, oh.
Garnacho just forced the door down.
Yeah, because he was like, it was literally, yeah, exactly. I'm too good.
But he was there.
That's what it was. Yeah.
We got him from Atletico Madrid.
How many times have people they've been saying, oh, yeah, play Zidane Bao or play whoever, you know?
Yeah.
Play Kobe.
But those players just might not be good enough. They're actually just not ready yet. Not because he just don't want to do it because he's stubborn. He's probably looking at him in training and saying, not yet. Not ready yet.
If we signed like a Kobe Mainoo, from, like you said, a mid-table French side, he'd probably get more game time than Kobe Mainoo will next season. Yeah,
he probably would.
That's part of the problem.
Especially, but because that player, if we did get one, remember, I'm not saying they've never kicked a ball. I'm saying they got fucking probably over 100 caps in the French league. I'm saying, even though they're young. I'm not saying get a kid like what. Remember when we got Ahmad, he only played 6 times. I'm not saying get that. I'm saying if he's played for Saint Etienne and has got 120 appearances. And he's played in the Europa League and he's played against flipping Messi and flipping PSG and all that and done all right. And he looks good. And he's in the under-20 French under-21. So why can't you do it? I'm just painting a mad picture. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying get someone who ain't played ball before, and like what we did with Garnacho, what we did with Ahmad, what we did with Palestri. I'm talking about someone who plays in the first team now at a young age.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we'll have to wait and see. To finish off, well, that's on Mason Mount. To finish off a little bit on Diogo Costa.
Diogo Costa. So this is coming from reports out of Portugal, from Record in Portugal, saying Porto are in need of making money before the 30th of June, and goalkeeper Diogo Costa is expected to. Do you like? I started off Portuguese with Diogo, and I just went Costa in the most English in the most English accent. Is expected to be one of the most disputed signings. Manchester United are most repeatedly interested in him, so they're saying that Porto might need cash, and if they need cash, Diogo Costa might be one of those names that is out the door. What do you reckon likelihood of this one?
Way far off.
We've got to get real for how much money we don't have, by the way, this summer.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And not saying that they're a Barcelona, but I heard when Barcelona, I know they're a powerhouse and do mad stuff, questionable stuff, that a lot of allegations there, by the way. Without going into that, it's a whole nother thing. But I heard when teams are strapped for cash before, and look what Barcelona did.
They won the league.
It doesn't exactly, and managed to pull every lever, every kind of backhand, whatever they did to survive. It doesn't necessarily. I'm not saying Porto were that; they're nowhere near the size of Barcelona. But I don't know. I just don't see that. See, we can get him now. Just offer them 20 million. They got to take it. I don't. It's just. I think that's.
He's still going to be expensive. You know what I mean? He's still going to be expensive
because they need money.
Exactly. And even I remember talking to you the other day when we were talking about the people that United were interested in. This was Sky Sports saying, United want to sign Harry Kane and Mason Mount and Declan Rice this summer. And I messaged you at the time going, even if we got all of them, which they're not saying we would, but let's say we were, that's 3 players costing you 250 million quid there. Like that's how much reportedly that could cost you. So I don't know where United are going to find some of this money. There's a budget, there's player sales, people will tell me, but still, I really don't see us getting like that replacement goalkeeper for De Gea this summer. I think we could get a keeper. I wouldn't be shocked if a free agent backup that's maybe better with his feet and actually pushes De Gea in the sense of, well, if De Gea is not playing particularly well, there's this other younger keeper that's decent with his feet that could actually push De Gea a bit further next season. Because I do think that gap between the number 2 and the number 1 does need to get closed up quite a bit, because Jack Butland was never going to Jack Butland or Dubravka, but they were nowhere near David De Gea this season. But
it's mad. Jack Butland's never going to make an appearance.
No, exactly. Yeah, but there's that gap does need to be closer, certainly, and then maybe next season you look at replacing De Gea or a longer term replacement for him or something like that. So I wouldn't be shocked if we did something like that. But Diogo Costa, unfortunately, for those that are a fan of him, I don't think that one's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. That's the end of the show. Thanks for tuning in. Little evening show. Happy Friday. Beginning of the bank holiday as well. So hopefully you guys got some nice plans. You're going to go away with family or chill with family or friends or whatever it is you got planned. And if you're going for a tough time and you might be a bit lonely at this time and maybe nothing planned, then at least you got us. So big up to you, man. Big up to you guys. We'll be back with another video very, very soon. And in the lead up to, oh, wait there, hold on. Oh, bloody hell, there's a game on Sunday. So we'll have a preview. Tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. Is there even going to be a press conference at some point?
It aired today. There was just, it was filmed after the game last night.
Not much to say, is it really?
Yeah.
I mean, there were some good things that Ten Hag did say, like, he's loving every minute here, and said about Jadon Sancho prefers him on the left, but he can do both, and etc. etc. But nothing massive. We still actually haven't heard anything significant on Antony as well, actually, which is a shame.
Oh, they said he could be out for. They said they could be out for a couple of months, maybe something like that. I think that was from the Independent. It wasn't. Again, that wasn't like official or anything like that.
He was in a lot of pain though. We still haven't seen enough conducive replays to see what that was. It's got to be a bone or something. I don't know. Like, is it another Martinez situation?
They said. I mean, it was BBC. So Simon Stone, so pretty, reliable, said Man United fear winger Antony has suffered a reoccurrence of the ankle injury that kept him out of the final 2 months of last season with Ajax. So they said it could be a reoccurrence of that. Because if you do see the replay, it does look like he kind of twisted his ankle or something like that, and kind of got stuck in the ground. But initially, it's quite innocuous. Yeah, and people were kind of saying, "Oh, we think he's rolling around a bit too much," and
then you can see he's in real pain.
But then when you get stretchered off, You know, that's
Yeah.
That's
No, he was in proper pain. He wasn't faking that. You can feel the same thing in the stadium as well. Okay. Well, we'll see you again tomorrow. We'll go from there. Take care, guys. Have a good evening. Take care. Peace.